4. The discovery desperate for answers. Eleanor began researching Victor Eldridge in earnest. She dug through old newspaper clippings, visited libraries, and consulted experts in the art world. What she found only deepened her fear. Eldridge had been a controversial figure in his time, known for his obsession with the occult and the darker aspects of human nature. His paintings were said to have a strange power over those who viewed them for too long, leading to madness, obsession, and even death. One article mentioned a particularly notorious piece, known only as The Last Painting. It was said to have been Eldridge's final work before his disappearance, rumored to be cursed. Those who had owned it before had all met with untimely ends, their deaths shrouded in mystery and whispers of supernatural influence. Eleanor's heart raced as she realized that the painting she had acquired could very well be the infamous Last Painting. The thought of getting rid of it crossed her mind, but she couldn't bring herself to do it. The painting had an inexplicable hold over her, as if it were a part of her now, a dark reflection of her own soul. 5. The Descent. As the days passed, Eleanor's condition worsened. She could no longer sleep, her nights filled with waking nightmares and the constant maddening whispers. Her once pristine apartment became a mess of discarded food, unopened mail, and half-finished bottles of wine. She stopped going out, cut off contact with friends, and spent all her time staring at the painting, trying to decipher its secrets. The figure in the painting was closer now, almost fully formed, its features just barely discernible. It had eyes, cold, black eyes, that seemed to bore into her very soul. Eleanor began to feel a strange connection to it, as if the figure was not just a part of the painting, but a part of her. One night, in a fit of desperation, she tried to destroy the painting. She grabbed a knife from the kitchen and slashed at the canvas, but the blade seemed to have no effect. The paint did not tear or smear. It was as if the painting was impervious to harm. Exhausted and defeated, Eleanor collapsed on the floor, the whispers growing louder in her ears, now almost a chant. 6. The Final Night. Eleanor knew she was losing her mind. The whispers had become a deafening roar, a cacophony of voices that filled every corner of her apartment. The painting had changed again. The dark figure was now at the very edge of the frame, one hand reaching out, as if trying to pull itself free. Terrified but unable to look away, Eleanor watched in horror as the figure's hand slowly emerged from the canvas. It was no longer just paint. It was real, flesh and bone, covered in a dark, oily substance that dripped onto the floor. She screamed, but no sound came out. The whispers drowned out everything, a symphony of madness that consumed her thoughts. The figure continued to emerge, its other hand grasping the edge of the frame, pulling itself out with slow, deliberate movements. Eleanor tried to run, but her body wouldn't obey. She was rooted to the spot, her eyes locked on the figure as it finally stepped out of the painting and into her living room. It was tall, impossibly tall, its body twisted and deformed, its face a grotesque mask of shadows and darkness. The figure reached out to her, its hand cold and clammy as it touched her face. The whispers were deafening now, a tidal wave of sound that crushed her mind, drowning her in a sea of terror. As the figure leaned in, its black eyes inches from hers, Eleanor felt herself slipping away, her thoughts unraveling into nothingness. The last thing she heard was a single voice, clear and sharp above the chaos, whispering in her ear, "Now, you belong to me." 7. The Aftermath. When Eleanor's friends hadn't heard from her in weeks, they finally called the police. The officers who entered her apartment found it in disarray. the air thick with the stench of decay. They found Eleanor in the living room, seated in front of the painting, her eyes wide open, staring into the darkness. She was dead, her face frozen in a rictus of terror. The painting was gone. No one knew what happened to it, and no trace of the mysterious artwork was ever found. But in the years that followed, rumors began to circulate in the art world. Rumors of a painting that brought madness and death to all who possessed it. The last painting was still out there, waiting for its next victim.